Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Bomki. I am a full-time artist, and in this video, I would like to share with you my process for creating air dry clay ornaments, just like this one right here. Woo! Great. 2024 was the year in which I started to experiment with air dry clay, a medium that I had never tried until then. I really wanted to craft something handmade because even though I create prints and, digital art, it's really different to actually making an object that you can hold. Of course, you can still print out art, but you know what I mean. Over the month of January 2024, I made a whole bunch of clay pins, mostly cute cat designs, just like this one that I'm wearing right here, strawberries, candy hearts, just like a whole bunch of cute stuff. I even had the opportunity to take part in my first ever market/fair, which was a success. I'm really glad that I took that step, and honestly, I don't think I'd have been able to do it without these objects. I don't think I would have had the confidence to do so. People really seemed to like the clay pins, and I was very happy about it. In February, I even got the opportunity to work with a local coffee shop to create a small batch of cinnamon bun shaped pins for them, which were also really fun to work on. And I guess all of the hype that I built around these pins kind of wore me down a little bit. So in March, I decided to just kind of take a break from air dry clay. And so I set it aside and just didn't do anything air dry clay related until November of this same year, 2024. And so in late November, because Christmas was approaching, I decided to create some ornaments that I would end up gifting to my friends and my family. And yeah, it was a really good time. And this video is all about that. I will show you bits and pieces of my process from start to finish. You will see the products that I used, a few tips and tricks that I caught along the way. And yeah, I hope you enjoy, and I hope that it will be useful and fun for you. If you would like to, I invite you to craft something of your own while watching the video. And if you do post it anywhere, make sure to tag me in it. You can find me as Bomki on Instagram. All right, let's get to it. So the whole process started out, of course, with a handful of air dry clay. This brand, Das, is the only kind I've used, and it has not yet failed me. I spent a good chunk of time warming it up and kneading it in my hands, just making sure that it was soft and malleable enough. I used 2 of my shaping tools as guides to make sure that the clay sheet had uniform thickness, but I still ended up just eyeballing it later on. The tools were unfortunately too bulky, so the sheet was just a tad too thick for my liking. As for the clay sheet itself, I used an acrylic roller from the same brand. When it comes to shaping the ornaments, I got a little creative with the round ones. I used the cap of an empty deodorant bottle for the perfect size. Well, almost perfect. I had to roll them out a bit more because air dry clay objects can be fickle, which is why I try to be really careful about the thickness of every trinket. If it's too thick, it will take forever to dry. If it's too thin, there's a chance that it might crack. I smoothed out the edges with water and one of the wooden tools and poked a hole for the string to go through. Perfectly round. For the rest of the shapes, I first drew each one on a piece of cardboard, then cut them out by hand. If you're lucky enough to have a 3D printer or pre-made cutters, this won't be an issue, but I'm a DIY girly and we're working with what we have. I settled on a flower shape, a star, and an oval. I didn't anticipate just how tricky it would be to cut out the star. It took me a hot minute, but hey, we prevailed. My thumb though, not so much. And now we're back to kneading some more clay for the new shapes. Same process as before, warming it up, rolling it out to the desired thickness, except this time I'll be using the cardboard guides to cut out each ornament. Cutting out the shapes with a small cutter/X-Acto knife is an experience every single time. It takes a while, it can get messy, but alas, it is part of the process. I don't know why I wanted the star shapes to be so sharp, but oh well, I think it was worth it in the end. Leftover clay goes into a plastic bag for later use. From my experience, plastic bags keep the clay away from, well, air, which makes it dry, and we don't want that. Of course, don't forget the smoothing out of rough edges and poking holes. I try to smooth the pieces out to the best of my abilities at this stage because it makes the sanding easier, but more on that later. I usually leave the pieces out to dry for at least a couple of days, making sure to turn them every now and then. If there are no dark gray spots, then you're safe. You do not want to sand a piece of clay that is not completely dry. Here are the 2 types of strings that I ended up using. The red paper ribbon was from IKEA, while the white and lavender one I found at a local store and fell in love with it immediately. So, sanding. Sanding is my least favorite part, but it must be done. I just use small pieces of fine sandpaper to get into every nook and cranny, and oh my god, it takes forever. Maybe one day I'll invest in something electric, but I cannot justify the cost of that right now. Dust gets everywhere. Of course, I had the window wide open for this part of the process and also wearing a face mask, which you should too if you're planning on sanding air dry clay. I like to go in with an old paintbrush to get rid of the fine dust left on the surface after sanding. This helps me make sure that I have a clean and smooth base for paint because I don't usually add primer on top of the clay. Once that nightmare's out of the way, we get to the fun part, painting. Yay! For my clay pieces, I prefer using Holbein acrylic gouache. It's the perfect consistency, has a lovely matte finish, and you just cannot go wrong with it. I had a lot of fun setting up my Stay Wet palette. In my opinion, a wet palette is a must-have when working with acrylics. Though I love acrylic gouache, it bothers me just how quickly they dry down on a regular palette. They're also pretty expensive, I have to ship them out from a different country, and we do not want to waste product in this economy. Unfortunately, I didn't film the painting process for every ornament. However, you'll get to see them all together later on. I started out within my comfort zone with a simple snowy scene, then tried out different themes for each piece. I really wanted each one of them to be unique, but somehow that made me a bit nervous, so I had to start over on the next flower ornament. I painted something which I just didn't vibe with, so I sanded the ornament down, got rid of most of the paint, and drew something else over it. I am beyond pleased with the tiny snake painting, which feels very fitting for the Lunar New Year. Maybe that explains why I love drawing snakes so much lately. Anyway, every ornament basically has 2 different paintings on each side because why not? You can turn them around depending on your mood. I do want to mention that I only kept a couple of the ornaments that I painted. I gifted the rest of them to family and friends for Christmas because it's something I'd wanted to do for a while. Even though I'm an artist, I rarely ever create art to give out as presents, which is a habit I would like to change. Consumerism is a huge issue, and especially in these trying times, I feel like creating art and putting soul into every piece is more important than ever. A gift made with real love and thought put behind it is so very valuable. December was a whirlwind, especially here in my home country. Unfortunately, many ornaments were left unpainted due to art block, but I set them aside for whenever inspiration strikes. In total, I made 8 round ornaments, 4 flowers, 2 ovals, and 2 stars. After painting, we move on to glazing. Glazing is super important as it helps protect the paint while also bringing out its vibrancy. I chose a glossy, water-resistant glaze, which I used in the past for my previous clay projects. I'm very pleased with how shiny it is. It is odorless and non-toxic and super easy to work with. In the future, I would love to try UV resin, but the concept of it does scare me a little bit. This glaze dries down pretty fast. I like to do 2 layers for super glossy results, but be aware that you can still see some of the clay texture underneath. That's why sanding is so important, sadly. I don't want to play favorites, but I think the red and white dove is my favorite painting of all. It went on to hang out in my parents' Christmas tree, which made me very happy. Really though, I'm quite proud of all of them, and I hope they brought joy to the homes they ended up in, because I know for sure that I loved creating them. And yeah, this is where we are at right now. I'm really happy with the 2 that I kept, and yes, I still have a few more that I need to paint, so if you want to see that, let me know. Hope that all of this was helpful for you, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them in the comment section down below. I will make sure to respond to anything that I can help you with. Most of the products that I use will be listed in the description, aside for the old paintbrushes and the wooden tools because I cannot remember where I got them from. But yeah, now I'm wondering if I should pick up the clay that I have left. March is right around the corner and it would be the perfect time for a new trinket collection. What do you think? Should I do it? Anyway, thank you so very much for watching. I hope this was fun for you. I hope it was helpful, inspiring even. And I really hope to see you in the next one. Thank you once again. I'm Bomki. Take care and bye-bye.